Good morning. So today I want to talk to you about my reflections from a few days ago. And so these are just things that I'm lessons. These are just things that I'm seeing, that I'm learning, and things that I'm really paying attention to, that I want to change, that I want to improve for myself. So this first one is, you can't tell a know-it-all nothing. And so I realized that, sometimes I'm talking to people and they say, I know, I know, I know, or they think that their way is the only way. And so typically I have found that there's more than one way to do something. It just depends on your personality, your temperament, your behavior, how you do things, how you see things, just, there's just different things, right? And so you can't tell know it all nothing. And I have accepted that when somebody says to me in every conversation, I already know that. I know. And so what I always think about is, if you know it, great. The question is, what are you doing with what you know? And so, are you applying it? Have you allowed it to change you and your life? And so we got to be careful about saying, I already know that. I know. Do you really know? And so for myself, I catch myself saying, I know that already. I just swallow it back down and I say, okay, how can I apply this to my life? How can I use it to change my life? Do I really know this well enough to have used it in my life? The next one is, it's better to ask questions rather than assume. It's always something to learn. And oftentimes we think we can read people's mind, that we know what they were thinking, we know what they were going to say, we know what they were going to do, but we're just making assumptions. We have no idea. And it's better to ask questions. We can kind of reduce a lot of conflict and stress if we just ask questions. Just ask people questions. What did you think about that? How do you feel about that? What's your story? How did you grow up? Whatever it is that you want to ask questions of people. Ask them why they do it that way. Why do they see any other way? What other solutions can we offer? The next one is, people are often just trying to help. Sometimes we take people trying to help us the wrong way. We think they want to take over. And maybe they have a takeover spirit, but their deepest truth is that they were just trying to help. They weren't trying to take over. They weren't trying to show anybody up. They were just trying to help. And so I think we have to go into things always considering, what is this person's intention? Were they trying to take over? Were they just trying to help? The next one is, listening is a valuable skill. Most people want to be heard. No, everybody wants to be heard. Nobody wants someone that's going to talk all over them, that thinks that they know better than they do. People want somebody who's going to listen, who's going to really listen to how they feel, to hear their heart. Doing what you know you need to do, even though you don't want to do it, is growth. So for me, there are so many things that I don't want to do that I need to be doing every single day. And so I am just one step at a time, one small step at a time, trying to do the things that I know I need to do, even though I don't want to. Like working out. I can skip it, but for my health, I need to do it every single day. So that is my goal, is 6 days a week to be working out in some way. Sometimes I think we value the wrong things, like what other people think. And so, first of all, we don't know truly what somebody else thinks, right? We know what they do. We don't know truly what they think. Two, it's always going to be something, right? If you do what somebody wants you to do this time, they'll never be happy. They'll just constantly have something else for you to do. So always consider what you value. The next one is, stay away from social media and spending while emotional. I see it all the time. I think that somebody that I really admire just going through something very hard, and my heart goes out to her. My heart goes out to her family, but it's all over everywhere. And I think that when we go through hard things, when we're grieving, whether it's a relationship, a death, illness, whatever it is, a job, income, it is so important that we stay off social media. And I believe we don't spend any money because we will make emotional purchases. Like I see that people spend $30,000 on a funeral, and I think that it's emotions speaking, right? It might be guilt, it might be shame, but I believe that when we go through things and we're grieving and we're on social media, that in most cases we're not in a position to help anybody else or ourselves. In most cases we are going to say the wrong thing. In most cases it's going to come across the wrong way. In most cases people are going to judge us by the circumstance and not necessarily, well, by the circumstance and by what we say. In most cases, when we go through hard things, we need to heal first and then talk about it after the fact. So I think it's important that we stay off social media when we're emotional and stop spending money when we're emotional. The next one is to notice how the mind and body are connected. It is, we don't realize how much our mind controls our body and how much our body controls our mind. There is a connection and we have to be paying attention. And I think the only way to do this is to be totally aware, to kind of be paying attention, observing, and then journaling about the differences. So for example, if you are eating foods that are not good for you, if you're eating, sugar all day long, you might notice that you have headaches or, all the different things. So just something to be noticing is the mind and body connection. The next one is when my conversation becomes one that is negative, always about someone else. I have to wonder, what do I need to release or what do I need to change? And so it's important to pay attention to what you're saying. And if you don't know what you're thinking and saying, you might take it to the page and just be more cognizant of what it is that you're thinking and saying. It can reveal a lot, especially if you're not getting the results that you want. You got to be paying attention to your thoughts and what you're speaking over your life and other people. The next one is when all we can see is what someone else, when all we can see is what someone else is or not what we did, we are in trouble. Okay. When all we can see is what someone else is, not what we did, we're in trouble. So oftentimes we can tell you all day long, this person did this, and this to me, but we don't tell you what we did. And I think it's important that we pay attention to our part that we play in every situation that's happened to us, good or bad. There's a part that we play and we have to own up to it. We have to take responsibility for it. There's no way in every situation we're 100% innocent all the time. There's no way. At some point we did something. At some point we had a thought. We took an action. We did something. We did something to have an effect, have a part to play in that situation. There are very few situations where we didn't have any part. We didn't do anything. The next one is every time we talk about someone, we should say, and I did this. I take responsibility for this part. And so oftentimes we can tell you every single thing that they did, and all we did was the right thing 100% of the time. And it's just not so. Every single, just like I said in the last one, is that we should tell our story. We should tell our part of it too. We should tell the part that we played in it as well, instead of just telling you the part that they played. And two, we can shed negatively on other people. We can say all the things that the negative traits that they have. We can say all the things about that person. But we got to be careful, and we got to make sure that we're saying all the things about us, the part that we played, the things that we did in that particular situation. And then finally, saying this is the way I am, take it or leave it, is a sign of immaturity. It's a sign of selfishness. It's a sign of pride. And it leaves your loved ones resentful and angry at you because you are this way. And I think that no matter who you are, where you are, if you think that you are the way you are and you're never going to change, it is a sign of immaturity. It is necessary that we're always working on ourselves, that we're always trying to improve, that we're always trying to get better, instead of being satisfied with being the way that we are. Sure, at the core of who we are, maybe there's some things that we've done well, that of good characteristics of us. But in most cases, even if we have good characteristics, there are still things that we need to change. on a regular basis. We slip into our old patterns, our old ways. There's things that we need to evaluate, how we're treating somebody, the subtle things that we do that hurt people. So just some things to be thinking about. This is the reflections that I had, and I just wanted to share. I hope it'll be helpful to you like it has to me.